Okon. We'll be right
More
back.
Conversation, more talk, more. Right after this.
I am Malario, the king of malaria parasites. My mission is simple: to take over your body, to cause fever, chills, headache. But one thing stands in my way. Come on.
Effective relief from malaria. Comal on. Malaria gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult doctor.
Attention, secondary schools. The countdown is on for the I Beg to Differ Secondary Schools Debate Season 9 audition. And here's the big news. The registration deadline has been extended to January 25th, 2026. Do you think your students have what it takes to speak up, stand out, and debate brilliantly? Then register now for the live auditions by visiting nigeriainfo.fm. All schools that have successfully submitted their registration online are expected to attend the live audition happening on Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Venue, Nigeria Info Studios, 267A, Timian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. Audition begin 10 a.m. prompt on Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Don't miss this opportunity to let your student voices be heard. Register now at nigeriainfo.fm. For sponsorship inquiries, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions. .3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. Let's talk.
This is the Big Three.
The Big Three on Hard Facts
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, we're back. I can take one last call and then we'll say our goodbyes finally for the weekend. Ireti Bakare-Yusuf, I guess, is back for Borderlines. She has a lot to talk about. America, Greenland, Venezuela, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot happening on the international scene, I must tell you that. Welcome to Hard Facts. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Turn off your radio, please.
Hello, Pino.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, my sister. When I lost hope that I would not get connected again was when he came miraculously. On River State issue, I think just like some other people have said it, like a Robert, yes, yeah. Let us allow them to finish their drama. But I know at the end of the day, the man
do you think this drama will ever finish? Do you think it will ever finish?
It will end because from the normal assessment, the people who Wike had actually relied upon, some of them are backing him out. So by the time he is done, he will be disgraced. Because I don't know why other people allowed you to finish your 8 years. Now you insult somebody and you don't want to give him any peace to lead the state according to the way it's supposed to be. Mark my words, Marianne, no matter how unending it looks, Wike must be disgraced. He's not a god. Right. And if he's not Lagos that people put at the back of any leadership, if it's not Lagos, where you, after you do your 8 years, you come and start dictating for another person. Thank you. God bless you, my sister.
Thank you very much for calling. Like I said, Ireti Bakare-Yusuf is standing by for Borderlines at the top of the hour. Don't forget to tune in. There's a lot to talk about. But follow Nigeria Info on all of his social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, X, and I think that we are on TikTok. Yes, you cannot miss all our TikTok videos. Follow me also on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. Are you not following me? If you're not following me, go and follow me now. My name is Mariana Kun. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.
Nigeria's biggest decisions start with the hardest questions, and I'm asking them on Hard Facts 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
One talk station of Lagos is closer to you than ever.
Join the conversation online or on the go.
Be part of the Info family on our user-friendly mobile app and website for a better and improved listening experience.
Download the app from Google Play Store and App Store.
With super efficient and clean audio quality.
Log on to nigeriainfo.fm.
Watch us live on YouTube and Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter at NigeriaInfoFM.
And Instagram at NigeriaInfoFM Lagos.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk. Join in right here.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. It's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
And now the business news.
The Lagos State Internal Revenue Service wants employers to remember the January 31st deadline for the filing of their employees' 2025 annual tax returns. In a statement released on Thursday, the agency reminded all employers that the deadline is a statutory requirement covering detailed returns on employee earnings and taxes deducted. It warned that failure to meet the deadline could attract sanctions. The service says employers can use the LIRS e-tax online platform for filing. And still talking taxes, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, says Nigeria's new tax laws will significantly ease costs and improve cash flow for manufacturers. He was speaking at a Manufacturers Association of Nigeria meeting in Lagos, saying manufacturers can now fully recover input VAT on assets and services.
Input VAT credit. As a manufacturer, you spend a lot of money on assets. Your sector, for many of you, is capital intensive. You buy equipment, you buy plants, machinery. Those inputs, your assets, as well as you pay for services. Under the old system, those VAT are your costs to bear. Under the new law, those VAT costs are recoverable 100%.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Segun Ajayi Kadir, wants state governments yet to adopt the new federal tax reform laws to align with the framework. He stressed that full cooperation is essential for the reform's success. The DG also noted that state-level alignment will help end multiple and illegal taxes, including roadblock collections and factory shutdowns. And the Securities and Exchange Commission has revised the minimum capital requirements for all categories of capital market operators. The new rules raise financial thresholds for brokers, fund managers, fintech firms, and virtual asset providers, aiming to strengthen market resilience and investor protection. Affected operators have until the 30th of June 2027 to meet the higher capital standards or face possible regulatory sanctions. You can read more about this on our website, nigeriainfo.fm. The Nigerian Exchange Group has launched the NGX Net Zero program in partnership with Germany's Development Finance Institution and Africa Foresight Group. The initiative aims to help Nigerian companies improve corporate climate disclosures and support net zero transition planning. Goals, the NGX Group Managing Director, and Temi Pokwola, says are beneficial to businesses. It is also expected to unlock access to climate-linked capital estimated between $2.5 and $3.1 billion. And that's the business update at this time. It's now time for Borderlines with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf, right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Yvonne Archival. Thank you for your time.
Above and beyond borders. It's Borderline
with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf.
From Washington to Beijing, Moscow to Abuja, London to Kigali, the world is shifting fast. Elections are shaping destinies. Wars are redrawing borders. Economies are rising and falling. And global alliances are being tested like never before. But what does it all mean for you?
With a new administration and a new president in the White House trying to put an end to the war.
I didn't know the historical context, what the state of Israel means for them.
Join the fearless Ireti Bakare-Yusuf on Borderlines every Friday at 4 p.m. on Nigeria Info 99.3. As she dissects the biggest global events and their impact on world peace.
Those who are not familiar with Israel or the war itself would not know much about the group breaking the silence.
No spin, no propaganda, just deep insights and fearless conversations on the geopolitics shaping our world.
People who will call and start telling you about the Bible prophecy about America and everything. See, America is not in the Bible. There's some people who, yes, they share the ideology of, yes, we and these people, we are equal, but they can't speak up.
Borderlines on Nigeria Info every Friday at 4 p.m. The world is changing. Don't just watch, understand it. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Good afternoon. How are you? It's been, something like, I'm not sure, 3 weeks. Although it feels much longer, perhaps even 4 weeks. I'm not quite sure. Yes, it is 4 weeks because we would have come back last week if not for the football. Borderlines is back and I am excited to be back here on this hot, very important chair, the seat, to which I feel blessed to be on every single week. Not just because I am special, but because of the whole team. That's my producer, my executive producer, and the rest of the team, the digital team, etc., etc. But also because, most importantly, there's a lot going on in the world. A heck of a lot. And without Borderlines, who's going to break it down for you? So on Christmas Day, something happened. Donald Trump bombed Sokoto. Yes, he did. Prior to that, if you will remember, he had said it would come down, quote unquote, guns blazing on Nigeria because of what he called Christian genocide. Now, reports that the United States airstrikes against ISIL targets, that's what he claimed, he targeted ISIL, that's ISIL, in Sokoto. You must know that by now. But here's the thing. We are told it's a cooperation, but yet our president hasn't said a word. Is it cooperation or is it coercion? At which point does support become incursion? At which point does the border of sovereignty becomes borderless to the likes of the United States? Now, to help us unpack all of this, because we're starting Nigeria first. Indeed we are, as we should. I have with me Onyekachi Adekoya, who is a security and geopolitics expert or analyst, whose work sits at the intersection of African conflict systems, external intervention, and the political war, the political economy of war. Onyekachi, are you there? Can you hear me? I saw you earlier, but I can't see you. Yes, for some reason, is there a problem with your screen?
Hopefully not.
I can't see you.
And good evening to the...
Good evening to you. We'll keep talking. There you are. Welcome to Borderlines. Yes, I can. Can you see me? Can you see me?
Thank you.
Excellent.
And good evening to the audience. Yes, sir.
Welcome to Borderlines. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. It's an honor to get your analysis on what's going on. So, like I said in my introduction, we had the Christmas Day attacks or the strikes by the United States, which Donald Trump framed, or at least America framed, as attacking ISIL. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about that because Donald Trump, of course, is a foreign leader. He's a foreign president. How, as such a strike, how does it impact on Nigeria's sovereignty, first and foremost?
I think that's the $1 million question we've all been asking and trying to dimension. So there are a number of factors or legs to this. So if Nigeria, and it's a big if we have requested collaboration and support from another country, then under the ambit of international law and cooperation, depending on the agreements we have, mutual agreement, of course, between nation states, then it's not out of place. You will recall that there was a coup in Benin Republic, and then the Benin Republic government requested for our support, providing us coordinates, and then we did act. So that's on the one hand. But if you follow the rhetoric from President Donald Trump, and then the actions that have followed later on, it begs the question if this was indeed cooperation, because even the fallout, we still have not seen a battle damage assessment. What we've just seen is statements from the Nigerian military, statements from the State Department, and importantly, a Christmas gift statement from President Donald J. Trump. And there is a fitting narrative that reinforces itself with everything that has to do with President Trump, is that he has a base he panders to, and he must feed them red meat, as it were, in quotes. So you can't make too much statements of what comes out from Donald Trump. You probably want to look at the Department of State and then the Nigerian Foreign Ministry to try and engage. So it is my assessment that some conversations were had. Some intentions, collaborations have been there. It's also clear that Nigeria has been calling out for cooperation, but the actions following the strike doesn't show coordination. So cooperation and coordination are two different things. It is very likely that based on what we're seeing, that the strikes were conducted by the Americans and not in coordination with the Nigerian government. So I think that's the second part to that. The third part to your question is, does this in any way, shape, or threaten our territorial integrity? Well, you can look at the case of Venezuela and look at the actions in Iran. I'm just talking about recent actions under the President Donald Trump. And then you can look at this strike by the Israeli on Lebanon, on Syria, even in Palestine. It does appear as though we are now in an anarchical world order, where rights is might and multilateral organizations no longer hold sway as they used to be, where the international rules-based order is now being replaced by what is being considered a strategic global world alliance. I don't want to bore your audience with all the verbose jargons that we speak, but it's not a good sign for Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, having a foreign power station battleships off our coast and lobbing missiles into our territory. It's a number of things could go wrong, and some of the things that could have gone wrong went wrong as boosters fell in Ofar, and there was some misfire in some other parts, so there's a number of factors to this. So not a good sign, I would say. I'm a bit concerned by it, not a good sign.
Indeed, we should all be concerned about it. But let me put another framework to you. What if some have said, or at least suggested, that the strike in Sokoto was not so much to do with Nigeria, but it was more to do with the three Sahel states? We're talking Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. It was more to do with the fact that AFRICOM, who we'll get to talk about later, the head of AFRICOM had said, during a Congress hearing about how the leader of Burkina Faso, Traore, was using the revenue from the internal resources for the government, whatever that means. Now, we also know that whilst President Tinubu was the head of ECOWAS, he was very much, in fact, he threatened the Sahel states military with a military response to the ongoing coups. Do you think it's possible at all that whilst the cooperation may not have been with Nigeria, but Nigeria, President Tinubu, may have applauded, or perhaps indeed, for want of a description, agreed to look away, because if it is towards the Sahel states, he certainly doesn't support, and indeed ECOWAS doesn't support what we're seeing in the Sahel states. What do you make of that suggestion?
That's a bit of a juxtapositioning.
Wild?
Issues as
is it wild or is it plausible?
Well, I mean, we're talking about geopolitics, yes? So there are different arguments to it. I've heard bandied around a misapplication of the Monroe Doctrine of the United States of America. And then people forget that James Monroe, what now become the famous Monroe Doctrine in his December, I think it's 1882 speech, was talking about the removal of European influence from the Western Hemisphere. That was the argument he was making, and that there should be no hegemon determining the affairs of the nation states in the Western Hemisphere. As a matter of fact, the Monroe Doctrine is a non-interventionist doctrine. It wasn't seeking to replace the European hegemon with an American hegemon. But anyway, here we are now. There's a talk about Monroe morphing into the Monroe Doctrine, which people also mistake the fact that President J. Polk, who oversaw the American-Mexico War that led to the annexation of Texas and all the other parts of Arizona, Nevada, and the likes, was seen as an expansionist American president. So fast forward to our own domain, you must understand that you are not a great power if you do not influence the happenings in your own hemisphere. Okay, so Nigeria is supposed to be an hegemon in the West African space and being a major player on the African continent, and therefore being a significant player on the world stage. So yes, Nigeria would have interest in what happens at its own backyard. So yes, if we play politics of our own interest, then good and fine. If it benefits our interest. Remember that in international diplomacy and diplomatic relations, your foreign affairs office is not there to further the interests of another nation state other than your own interests. Okay? So if we're looking at it from a geopolitical angle, to say that, if it had been, no problem. So there's a fair point to make there. And as a matter of fact, some also argue that the reason why the U.S. did not strike the Northeast, where we consider to be a target-rich enclave. When you look at the Mandara Mountain and the hamlets and the small islets around the Lake Chad axis, where you have a number of significant ISWAP Boko Haram presence. But the U.S. chose to strike in the Northwest, striking Lakrawa, which they later classified as ISWAP. But there's nothing to suggest on the ground that they are affiliated to ISIS. If at all, calling from the Maghreb, they are more affiliated to Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb than ISIS. But just for the purpose of geopolitics, Lakrawa, Ansaru, and the other armed opposing groups within that axis may form a bit of a destabilizing force from the Sahelian states seeking to create a bridgehead in Nigeria, in the northwestern part of Nigeria. And if they achieve that bridgehead, recall when you saw the Russian flag flying in Kano.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can put one and two together to say, okay, maybe the strike in Northwest was not just signaling, it was also countering an incursion and a bridgehead being created from the Sahel states into Nigeria. So that's also a geopolitical angle. It says if the president had looked the other way just for that sake, then again, it's all interest. Now, in this case, it would not just be Nigeria's interest, it will be America countering growing Russian influence, which is already entrenched in the Sahelian states. And then if we had lost Benin Republic, what that would have meant is that a significant part of our 923 kilometers landmass in border would have been boxed in from Chad to Niger to Benin Republic. The only outlet we'll have as a regional power would have been the Atlantic Ocean, because to the north of us, northeast of us, northern Cameroon is also facing one destabilization or the other.
Absolutely.
So if perhaps there was some symbiotic arrangement where, the US could strike the Northwest, whilst not solving our problem, but forestalling a bigger problem, then you can argue, yes, there's a case for that. But my worry is that if there was collaboration and coordination, then the US should have been striking the Northeast and parts of the North Central if truly the concern was Christian genocide. But again, like we say, it's all geopolitics. Nobody expend hard-earned dollars just to further your own interests.
Indeed. And an excellent point that you make, because again, that was the other question. Why Sokoto? Why not, the North Central, since, the noise was about Christian genocide? But before I move on to my next question, you make a very good point, and I'd like you to kind of tell us what that says about, the U.S. misrepresentation or misunderstanding, or indeed perhaps even a complete and utter lack of understanding of the complexities of the, terrorist incursion issues that we have in Nigeria. You said something, you said, the U.S. wrongly affiliated Lakarawa with ISWAP. Isn't that an indication that the US actually don't understand what's going on in Nigeria, or indeed that they don't care for the complexities of what's going on in Nigeria? They've got their own agenda, and we as a people, indeed our government, is yet to identify exactly what that agenda is. Or is it that our government knows, and again they're like, okay, go ahead. I saw you smile. What made you smile?
Well, it's you see how when doctors make prescriptions in those handwritings, and only nurses can understand what the doctors are writing.
Yes.
We kind of labor a bit to explain the domain of statecrafts, the domain of deliberate psyops, and then some influence operation. So when you say perhaps the US may not have been well informed, that's not what the facts will suggest. Remember that the US has its hand in so many pies in the Nigerian states. The US is well grounded, well known, and to say the US doesn't have the information, that's not correct. We may be shocked how much information the US has on Nigerians, even down to our genetical makeup, the disease spectrum that we are prone to and exposed to, because we have a number of INGOs that were USAID funded, operating deep within what we call deep field areas of Nigeria, and paying a significant amount of enumerators, what we call enumerators, to gather data on Nigerians. The NSA, under the leadership of Nuhu Ribadu, had shut down the operations of some USAID-funded security organizations, which were gathering pinpoints, accurate information on security space in Nigeria, properly mapping the threat environment, the threat actors. In fact, to some extent, they had more information than some of the government security agencies in certain aspects. So to say that the US is misinformed.
Well, is it that, okay, if they're not misinformed, is it that they don't care? Because, like you said, wrongly affiliating Lakarowa with ISWAP, that's indicative of something.
That's not indicative of anything. That's it's when you're making arguments. I could be anchored to you if I make a statement that say you're looking very pretty and I love your dress. I'm warming you up, and you're going to be less hostile to a very nice compliment.
Right, gotcha.
And if your mother in the village, you went to visit and she says, "Oh, pepper soup," and you say, "Mama, what's the matter? Is there anything?" She says, "Nothing. No. It's just what she's saying to you. She's saying to you she wants to drink pepper soup." And then if you know anything, you're going to want to act towards, because she's anchored you to the thoughts of pepper soup. And it's not because she doesn't know you don't run a pepper soup restaurant. But there's a reason why she's putting information out there. So when you read statements from certain nation states, you don't read them just at surface level.
Right.
So if Donald Trump says it's ISWAP, and that is in the Northwest, and then 2 weeks before that, the Nigerian government had declared all these armed bandit groups to be terrorists. It means that somebody was creating legal justification for that action. And ISIS, Al-Qaeda, I'm just laughing because there's some things I can't say on radio, but some people argue who were the creators of these elements.
Why can't you say it on radio?
You can go back to the history, and I'd like your audience to do their own research.
Oh, no, that's what's one of the points of Borderlines, is to educate our audience, and then they can seek to know more. Go ahead.
We're them to Google, ask AI, and do their own research. What agency created ISWAP, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda? And then you can then begin to understand some of the statements you are seeing on the outside. So I'm saying that the statements from the US may not be a misstatement, as it were. Perhaps it's deliberate, to give legitimacy to the strike action that followed, to then mask the true intention. Because you're striking a Muslim-dominated area under the guise of Christian genocide. I mean, I must be in nursery school or something, or maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I think that's the question that's on everybody's lips, and that's why one wonders so many things, because, where is the Christian genocide in Sokoto? But alas, like you said, only the US understand what the US is up to, but we want to know more. So here's the thing, let's talk intelligence. Tell us what you think or what you believe actually, drove the targeting or of Sokoto. Was it Nigerian intelligence? Was it US intelligence? Is it the US working? Because one of the things that we saw after Donald Trump's allegation of Christian genocide was a mass exodus of the likes of Nuhu Ribadu and our Minister of Foreign Affairs, etc., to the United States, to have conversations, etc. Do you think there was intelligence sharing during that, and they knew, or perhaps that's what led to the Sokoto bombings or Sokoto attack, whatever? You are smiling a lot. I'm curious.
So
I think my question makes you smile.
Yeah, you're asking very interesting questions. And I've been accused of not providing simple answers with us. So I'm smiling because there are no simple answers in any case.
No, there isn't.
So the US has never stopped sharing intelligence with the Nigerian states. Of course, we have an intelligence sharing agreement. What we seem to have done was to operationalize an agreement reached in 2024, sometime in August 2025, pursuant to which strikes happened. but is the grading of intelligence, what is shared, and more importantly, what is not shared.
Okay.
And I insist that it's not for lack of intelligence, either on the parts of the Nigerian states or the Americans, that certain actions happen or do not happen. To the contrary, there is sufficient intelligence. Let's even stay with what we know in the Nigerian state. The DSS has a station chief in every local government in Nigeria. And that station chief has his responsibilities, he has his deliverables. So we cannot say that there's no intelligence, so there's intelligence. What was shared were not in the official communication channel, but if we follow reports on the ground and eyewitness reports, it was said that some hours before the strike, the terrorists were seen running out of their enclave with strong claims even to the local populace that a strike was coming because they had noticed some form of aviation platform circling that area before the strike. So maybe not only the Nigerian government and the US government were in on information sharing loop, maybe the terrorists also had intelligence also. You know, such that post the strike, neither the US nor the Nigerian government has been able to show us dead bodies. There's no battle damage assessment. So when you talk about intelligence sharing, you see me having a smirk on my face and asking, was that what led to the strike? Listen, since there's intelligence is, again, borderline. This is borderline.
This is borderline.
There's what you call open source intelligence. Intelligence you can glean from the open source. Source intelligence will tell you that, you know, these people are there. There are instances where the Nigerian security force will tell you that we know this is where they are, but we don't have the armament, the ammunition, and capability to go there. So when we talk about intelligence, it's not a complete set of anything. It's just data that has been processed into a product and into a format that aids decision-making. And decision-making inside would be action of government. So intelligence was shared. Why did they strike the Northwest? I have a theory, which is a theory that is going around, is to forestall the creation of a bridgehead in Nigeria by the Sahelian states that are aligned to the Russian Republic. You recall that Niger Republic had the, is it Niger? Niger, yes. Had the guts to seize our C-130 aircraft. Or Burkina Faso. I think one of the.
It was Burkina Faso.
Yeah, so they seized our aircraft, claiming that there was some technical equipment on it, blah, 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 blah. And Nigeria huffed and puffed and threatened a bit. And then, of course, we had prepared some actions, were options before the chief of the commander-in-chief. And then the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs put out a statement to the effect that, hey guys, you cannot escalate. And then we backed down. And what we saw was a public apology from the Nigerian government, following which our personnel was released, our aircraft was released. So again, you can put one or two together to ask, why did they strike Northwest? Remember also, and importantly, that Usman Danfodio, who did his jihad, is not from Nigeria. He's originally from Niger Republic. As a matter of fact, according to the history, he was ousted from Niger Republic and he came and settled in Sokoto. You know, where was given a place to then have, and then there was the uprising, and then, of course, then that goes. So, if, according to the theory, that the US struck the Northwest in military terms to forestall the creation of a bridgehead into Nigeria, because of course the US has interest in Nigeria. It's about to build the largest embassy anywhere in the world in the Atlantic. So nobody can tell me that the US does not have an interest in Nigeria. The US has secured Venezuela. is stopping shipments of crude to China, threatening the shipment of crude to China from Iran, the next option from China may be from Nigeria. So preemptively shipping us weapons, improving whether by coercion or cooperation, a greater play would be countering the influence of China and Russia and containing China. And that's why the 2027 election will be very interesting to watch, because all of a sudden you have three great powers having an interest in what that outcome of the election will be like. So, I mean, I don't want to say this is why they stop. It's not our work to help you reach that decision, but we can put some information before you and you can reach your own conclusions.
Well, thank you for that. So that brings me on to AFRICOM. We've seen, well, we hadn't heard from the last time AFRICOM was sort of trending was, like I said, when, you know, the head of AFRICOM, whose name doesn't come to me right now, when he gave that statement at the Congress about Burkina Faso. All of a sudden now, this last week or so, we've seen AFRICOM now saying that they are sending equipment for their partners in Nigeria. Who are their partners in Nigeria? And why should we trust AFRICOM?
Well, you don't have a choice but to trust AFRICOM, as it were. Africa has missed out on the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth industrial revolutions, which is why Africa was easily conquered and shared and colonized, because we don't have the technological means. Remember that AFRICOM has been trying to set up a base in Africa for a very long time and has been resisted by certain power blocks and pillars on the African continent. It is no surprise that pillar after pillar, those pillars they are now out of commission. Muammar Gaddafi is no longer in the picture. Olusegun Obasanjo is not in the picture. Mugabe doesn't have a say. Egypt is a shadow of itself. South Africa has its own battles. And, you know, so AFRICOM has partners in Africa. There was a time when ECOMOG was a strategic competitor to AFRICOM because ECOMOG could project force and project the interests of the West African bloc as a bloc. And, you know, they were able to, at least on their own merit, resolve the issues in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the rest. So it's interesting to see that some will argue that it is not by coincidence that AFRICOM now has partners in Nigeria. Anyway, so we fast forward to the gifts. Some argue that since the procurement of the lobby services by the Nigerian government, which is perfectly fine and perfectly legal, and I support it completely, you know, that we're now seeing a smoothing out of relationship between the United States and Nigeria. And of course, the gift states are part of it. Now, the American government and Nigerian government has remained tightly on what was supplied. But if we follow the 2025 supplies, certain satellite communication equipment, encryption equipment, some level of ISR capability, that's intelligence surveillance with reconnaissance capability, and the lights were supplied. But I don't think that one shipment in a Boeing 767 air freight aircraft will dramatically change the cost of events on the ground. But it's a token, and it's a token in the right direction. And the positive side is that once you see the Americans have done this, America and Europe is now in what you call an overt geopolitical contest now. You know, it used to be covert before. The Europeans created the euro to rival the dollar. And I don't want to go back into what happened in the aftermath of Second World War and how the pound sterling was dethroned.
Mm.
And then you have the US dollar following the Bretton Woods agreement. And then, you know, the unhinging of the dollar to gold in 1971.
Mm.
And I could bore your audience to sleep on some of these issues. So, yes, long and short is that of necessity, AFRICOM has partners in Nigeria. But interestingly, in Africa, the US has the highest level of partnership, what you call the highest level of non-NATO strategic partnerships with countries like Morocco, Algeria, I'm not sure, maybe Egypt or one other country. The bilateral agreement with Nigeria is just called strategic partnership. So it's just at a very base level. So maybe this is growing into something more significant. We've seen the uneasing of military supplies to Nigeria by the relaxing of the Leahy law, which I found was very interesting because
extremely
the US supply equipment to Ukraine, I'm not sure they have the most fantastic human rights record.
They don't.
Neither does the Arab states.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's all about interest, like I say. So
of course.
There's a relaxing of the Leahy law and impairments to this relationship. And then there's a growing strategy. Again, remember, I'm saying that everybody has an eye on countering each other because we are now in a multipolar world. And Nigeria's always had a non-alignist foreign policy position. And to say that we are Afrocentric in all that we do, meaning that we will prioritize African interests and we will do business with just about any other person in the world. So that's why some people are saying that perhaps there's a bit of a cohesion on the part of the Americans to force some agreements, even with the threat of strikes. And that's why you can maybe look at it and say that this is not looking like it's a partnership of
it's certainly not equal.
Yeah, it's not an equal partnership, but the partnership of necessity, as it were.
Indeed.
Because the alternative to that partnership would be what?
You tell us.
I don't know. Greenland is being threatened.
I didn't. It's not mine to say it. Of course. No, and I mean, look. Yes, of course. I totally. I understand. I hear you. But you're here to be the expert, so of course I must place the questions to you.
Who's an expert, and how do you define who an expert is?
Well, that's why you're invited here. You are an analyst. I am a journalist. Okay. We only meet at the east part, right?
Fair enough.
All right, it's different if I was on your show, then it would be totally different. But before I go to the questions, I mean, because I can see people are beginning to call, I'd like you to talk very quickly on that economy you speak of, that multipolar world. You know, we have the economy of war, we have the economy of, strategic alliance, we have the economy of the military industrial complex. Who's gaining the most right now, at least from Nigeria? Because, like you said, Nigeria has become that seed where three giants are fighting over, right? So who's gaining?
You mean in Nigeria or
amongst the three giants?
Well, so the three giants would be Russia, China, and America. I think that America is playing catch up, to be fair, because almost all our telecommunications platforms and systems are provided by the Chinese. The Chinese owns us, basically. We're just waiting to start learning Mandarin. That's all we're waiting. They're constructing our roads. They are major import partners. And it makes sense why the Jonathan administration was pursuing a direct currency swap between China and Nigeria, which some argue led to the ouster of Jonathan because it was threatening the position of the dollar.
Okay.
Before this American hostility flared up, this current administration had gone back again to the direct currency swap and had started selling crude in Naira. Not benchmark a dollar.
Indeed.
So you will see why it will seem as though that America is playing catch up.
Indeed.
The Russians, following the nature of the Soviet Union, has been very smart. providing arms and support, playing on the background, focusing on minerals and the rest. They also have interest here. They have oil companies, they have mining rights, they supply weapons and armaments to the Nigerian government. So I think that they are fairly positioned. But being an English-speaking country, we historically are more disposed to traveling to the UK and to the US and having a number of our relatives there. So in terms of the soft side of things, we are more aligned to the West. But in terms of government and run of government and the necessities of statecraft, we are pursuing strategic balance.
Yeah, I need you to wrap up so I can answer the calls. We're running out of time. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hello.
Happy New Year to you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Titi Lokpe. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Your question, please, very quickly.
Let me say, first of all, that the reason why Nigeria is here is because we had bad leadership. There's leadership vacuum. In the first place, if you add ambassadors in America, for instance, for the past 2 years, that problem could not have arisen. And again, last year, that's 2025 now, the Congress talked about Nigeria issue. There was nobody to represent Nigeria. So it's probably because of the bad diplomacy, the bad foreign policy. That's why we are here. And there's nothing we can do until maybe this government goes away. Because
so what's your question, Titi Lokpe? We're running out of time.
Now, the question I want to ask now is about Trump. His belligerent rhetoric. He's spoken about the Greenland. We saw what he said with Cuba, what he said with Colombia, now of Venezuela. Does he think that belligerent rhetoric is suitable for the new world order now? And
thank you.
What the Europeans are
no. I've got to go, Titi Lokpe. Sorry, we don't have the time, unfortunately.
So that's it. So what does he think about that?
Okay, all right. So, Onyekachi, if you could write that down, what do you think of Trump's belligerence? Okay, I'm coming to the next call. Hello.
Hi, Sister. Good evening to you and your guests.
Very quickly, please, questions only.
My question to your guest is, I gleaned from the tabloids this afternoon that Nigerian government is paying the Western world to cover us, to just paint us good, to make us look good, as opposed to we really looking good if we face the home front basically on security issues. Now, what is his take on this? I think it is just ridiculous for me.
Okay, thank you. I think you heard that, and I'm going to take one more, and then you can answer all three together. Hello.
Hello, Sitoge. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is the messenger man.
Go ahead. Quickly,
yeah, my question is, during the course of narrative formation in America about the Christian genocide, there was some people who were actually pointing at Sokoto Caliphate, that it should be proscribed, that it is breeding terrorist organization. At the end of the day, when Trump wanted to strike in the 25th December action against the terrorists, it was Sokoto that it happened, when any one of us was actually thinking it would have happened in the northeast. So my question to your guest is, could this be another ploy to actually proscribe the Sokoto Caliphate? Because nobody even had a slightest idea that that area was the center of the terrorists. That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right. Onyekachi, I'm going to leave you to answer that. If you could do that, just wrap all three of them together for us in 2 minutes, because the calls are coming in fast. Thank you.
You will need 2 hours for sessions like this on geopolitics. I think it's too easy to say that Trump, the Sokoto Caliphate, if it were the target, is not greater than America. If America really wanted to hit it, it would hit it. But that's not the intendment. Like I said, America had its own agenda, and the Christian genocide was a convenient speak and a message to his base. And no, to address Christian genocide would have been to go to the North Central and Northeast. On the second speaker on the paying a lobby, I agree that with the government, if you pay a lobby company about $9 million, which is chunk change really, there are some contracts for consultancy in this country that are more than that. And globally, we're a nation of 250 million people. Our proven gas reserve is in the excess of, I think, $84 trillion or so thereabouts. So having a consultancy of 9 million is nothing. We have some of those consultancies. It's not much. But if you pay 9 million and get $5 billion in returns and value, you just do your 8 million or 9 million over 5 billion. It depends on what the MOA is, the agreement is, the timelines and the deliverables. So if it is properly structured, then it shouldn't be a problem really. We can recoup that money many times over. Because if our oil platforms are hit and there's destabilization in Nigeria, you just guess we're losing almost 2 million barrels per day times XYZ amount. You can see how much that will be. That's almost 2 to 3 billion a day.
Thank you.
Which you can ill afford. So that's on that hand. The first question, I think I've forgotten what that first question
I think you've answered it. I believe you've answered it. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Badamasi from Surulere.
Go ahead. Question only, please. Your question, please.
Can Nigeria continue to remain neutral or non-aligned?
Okay, good question.
With global politics going on now.
Thank you. Right. Can Nigeria continue to remain non-aligned with what's going on now? Hello?
Hello, this is Wale calling from Ayobo.
Go ahead.
It's on the North at the 9 million being spent. Because we can now see the result of that 9 million here. You can see that the African is now sending over $400 million of both of weapons to Africa. And Nigeria will be the biggest beneficiary of those weapons. I just want to ask yourself, can Nigeria spend more? What if we spend more in lobbying them?
So you're saying we should spend more. Can Nigeria spend more?
Spend more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Right, Onyekachi, there you go. I think you have 2 questions there. We don't have time anymore. So I need you to kind of do that.
The second question is the commentary supporting that the government spend more. It's not a question. So if he's asking, can the government spend more? I think that should be directed to the Minister of
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that, look at what we've gotten. If it's true that, from just spending 9 million, look at what shouldn't we be spending more?
Which is the argument I was making.
Yes, of course.
That if you spend 9 million and then you get 5 billion, I think you are better off. The first question was what again?
Oh, God. The first question is, can Nigeria remain non-aligned or continue to remain non-aligned in this multipolar world?
The horse has bolted already. It's too late to remain non-aligned.
Okay.
And it's too risky to be aligned to one part. So we're in between a rock and a hard place.
Indeed.
This is not an easy question. I would have to explain a lot. So
yeah, unfortunately,
we're
we don't
in difficult times right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me answer more. Thank you. Hello. Okay, I think there you are. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening, Ireti. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I
Question.
just want to ask your guest. I'm Marika from First Tax. Ask your guest. When we say Africa is centerpiece of our foreign policy, what does that even mean? Do we have a document documenting how we're going to explore? Because we've been to South Africa, been to Liberia, and we came back poorer and without anything. Now, do we have a document of strategy how to react to the greed, to the fears of those superpowers, and how to knock their head together? Do we have action plan for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Okay. And we have a question on WhatsApp, which I almost forgot, which is, I want to be anonymous, please. Back in 2021, I ran a lady into a bus who came from Sokoto to get an apartment for his family because the bandits were going to people's houses and killing Christians. When they came to our house, they asked if we were Christians or Muslims, and they killed the Christians. This was in 2021, just after the lockdown. Most Nigerians outside of Sokoto don't really know about this, but those Christians living in some parts of Sokoto were actually killed, and most people not knowing. So the U.S. of a strike in Sokoto wasn't just because they want to strike, but because they've been aware of the killings going on there a long time. Right, there's a comment. I'm going to give you a minute. They're throwing me off air. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think what you're saying manifesting in the Northwest is all those areas were largely Hausa. It's Hausa land, really. And the Fulani form only 15% of our population, as it were, or less than that. So there's an argument that there's a Hausawa uprising, which is now manifesting in header farmer clash. Maybe that's what you're pointing to. So I don't think this is about religion as it were, even though there are actions that seem like they're about religion. But more Muslims are dying in this country. Just out of the sheer size, and this answers the first question, that Nigeria operates a kakistocracy. We are led by the worst of us, not the smartest of us. So I've been complaining about Edo State and the rising killings in Edo, and the government is claiming that the vigilante groups have been paid. But information on ground suggests that for the last 3 months, the vigilante that they've armed and provided motorcycles for have not been paid. And then the government is saying they've been paid.
Okay.
So this is just it's a systemic problem. We face a Hydra headache problem, which we call in geopolitics a wicked.
Thank you very, very much. Onyekachi Adekoya, I believe I've got it right. Thank you for joining us on Borderlines. Thank you.
Thank you for making me this.
Pardon? Pardon? I didn't hear you.
Drinking yogurt, not correct product from Seaway. You get 2 type where you fit enjoy sweetened and strawberry. It there for 500 ml, 400 ml, and 125 ml. Nutri-Yo, why yogurt? Irresistible.
Start your day and have a good time. Kivo Creamer. Where you need to have the break time. Kivo Creamer. If not tea, Papa Garita. Kivo Creamer. Kivo Creamer.
Today, in the ever-connected business world, business moves at unquantifiable speed. And the winners...
That's good to know. But the real question is, are your business tools really working for you or creating new headache? See, there's a kind of confidence you get when you know you got the right support, a solution built specifically for you with both reliability and efficiency in tow. With MTN Cloud, you experience near instant operations thanks to lower latency, convenient billing with flexible Naira billing, and 100% data sovereignty, keeping you compliant. Visit cloud.mtn.ng today and get the cloud built for you.
Olabi Adekola, and I be better hustler. From morning till night, now back to back. Work, traffic, noise. Sometimes it be like say your head go bust. Once that headache show, I go straight for Medic 5-5. With Medic 5-5, I did Medic my headache. For headache.
Use Medic 5-5.
If your body no tranga after 3 days, go see your doctor.
Attention, secondary schools. The countdown is on for the I Beg to Differ Secondary Schools Debate Season 9 audition. And here's the big news. The registration deadline has been extended to January 25th, 2026. Do you think your students have what it takes to speak up, stand out, and debate brilliantly? Then register now for the live auditions by visiting nigeriainfo.fm. All schools that have successfully submitted their registration online are expected to attend the live audition happening on Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Venue, Nigeria Info Studios, 267A at Timian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. Audition begin 10 a.m. prompt on Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Don't miss this opportunity to let your student voices be heard. Register now at nigeriainfo.fm. For sponsorship inquiries, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef. Niger vibe, Mr. Chef, two finger crush. I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef. I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef.
Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
Chef of life.
Introducing Sniper Hotshot Multi-Purpose Insect Killer. Ready to use and fast acting. Available in stores nationwide. Sniper Hotshot. Be precise. Be powerful.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Join the conversation no matter where you are. Download our mobile app by searching Nigeria Info FM on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Also, get news updates in sports, entertainment, news, and current affairs right on the app. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
There's always a conversation waiting.
It's 5 o'clock.
The headline news on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Rivers Assembly moves to impeach Governor Fubara, seeks probe panel. 4 Rivers lawmakers reverse position, back Fubara impeachment. Panic in Ikorodu as school building collapses, no casualties recorded. While Sanwo-Olu orders probe, relocation after Lagos school collapse. Supreme Court dismisses appeal of ex-Jigawa governor's son. Supreme Court orders Sule Lamido's sons to face trial over 1.35 billion naira fraud. Manchester City close in on Crystal Palace captain. Guardiola admits defensive crisis as City targets Guehi. And Anthony Joshua returns to training after fatal Lagos crash. And that's all for now. It's back to Borderlines with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf right here at 99.3 Nigeria Info.
And beyond borders. It's Borderline
With Ireti Bakare-Yusuf.
Above and beyond borders. It's Borderline
With Ireti Bakare-Yusuf.
Nutrient they give joy. Creamy taste plus vitamins where they work.
It get vitamin A, B6, B1D, with protein and calcium for the whole family.
I carry and go school, now my yoga PDs.
Open up, drink up, feel up. Nutrio, my yogurt, irresistible. Nutrio drinking yogurt, now correct product from Seaway. It get 2 type where you fit enjoy, sweetened and strawberry. It there for 500 ml, 400 ml, and 125 ml. Nutrio, my yogurt, irresistible.
Be part of the discussion. It's Borderline.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. Like I said, I'm happy to be back. Borderlines is back. And we're not wasting any time. Now we're crossing borders over to Iran indeed, although my guest is not in Iran. But the subject right now is Iran. December 28th, we saw what was effectively a protest about economy, about living cost, if you like, the cost of living, which we've had here in Nigeria before. But since then, it's since escalated to other things. Now, the other thing that we've had, the other element in these protests are foreign elements. Indeed, we saw Mike Pompeo post a tweet on his official Twitter handle where he said Happy New Year to Iran and to the Mossad agents walking with them to the protesters. Now, to help us unpack this, because indeed at this particular moment in time, I want you all to engage something that you think you had and you may already not have, but please, not only do I want you to listen, I want you to engage critical thinking. The only way you can do that is if you open your ears and your brain to my next guest. Because I can assure you, whatever you've read about Iran, there is no straight line. Right, my guest right now is an absolute honor. She's distinguished. She's award-winning. I love her. Everybody loves her. She's straight talking, and you know that's what we like on Borderlines. Her name is Ms., although she didn't ask me to call her that, I choose to call her that, Samira Moedin. Samira, welcome to Borderlines.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. My name is Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. I always forget to introduce myself. It is a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to have you here. Like I said earlier, what we're seeing in Iran, there is no straight line. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of lack of understanding. Indeed, there's a lot of pedestrian thoughts or, opinions. And there's indeed a lot of naivety in what we're seeing. So, 19 days on, frame it for us. I'm going to give you 2-3 minutes to do that before we go further, because we must educate people.
Yeah, so these protests started on December 28th. They started in Tehran's Grand Bazaar when the rial, this is Iran's currency, plummeted to its lowest points. It began to trade at 145 million rial to $1. And the merchants came out protesting against the drop of the currency and really against sort of the economic strife that Iran has been dealing with for many years. But these protests quickly escalated, and they went from calling for economic reprieve to calling for the downfall of the government itself. Now, that's not new in Iran. Iran, particularly since 2017, has been in this successive hamster wheel of protest after protest after protest. However, what is new is the level of violence, both on the part of the Iranian government and on the part of protesters. There have been 100, the government in Iran says there have been 100 police officers killed during these protests. And as you pointed out in your introduction, we also have these political foreign actors who are providing fodder for the Iranian government, who is always paranoid about a foreign hand. But this time we're having actual American officials, actual Israeli officials saying, we're on the ground, we're helping, we have a hand in this. So it's really horrible what we're seeing. And the biggest losers of all this are the Iranian people themselves.
Indeed. Let's go back. Again, this is what often happens with Iran. People forget, once upon a time, Persia. Once upon a time, the beautiful Iran that had a democratically elected government who was quite popular, who was then overthrown. Talk to us about that, because again, we've got to educate everybody.
Yeah, it's a bit of a misnomer. Iranians never had elections. They never democratically elected anyone. I think you're referring to Prime Minister Mossadegh.
Yes, Mossadegh.
However, he was never democratically elected by the people. He was actually appointed by the Shah and the parliament. And there was an operation from the CIA and MI6 called Operation Ajax, which overthrew Mossadegh when he tried to nationalize Iran's oil. So it's a bit of a misnomer to say he was democratically elected. However, there was a coup that did away with that. However, after that, you did see Iran's oil nationalized, etc.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned about the fact that there's been protests since 2017.
There's been protests for 47 years.
Right.
I should point out that the first protests actually happened in 1979 on March 8th, on International Women's Day. Tens of thousands of women came out into the streets in Iran against the imposition of the mandatory veiling of women and against the doing away with the Family Law Act. So this is the Family Law Act allowed women the right to divorce, allowed women the right to, there was childcare, there was the right to travel without permission. There was all of these things embodied in the Family Law Act. It allowed them to have custody of their children. All of that was done away with even before the government formed.
Right.
So the first victims of this new government were women, and the women came out and fought against that. But with coercion, they weren't able to do anything. And then you saw more and more protests. There was silence for a decade, and then in 1999 there was the student protests, and then in 2009 there was the Green Movement. And every time Iranians have tried to change this government or change this system of governance, first they tried the ballot box in 2009. They've tried civil disobedience. Every time they have been met with state violence, but nothing like we're seeing today. The level of people that have been killed in this latest round of protests has been unprecedented.
And what do you think is exacerbating that? What has made that? What is it that's elevated and pivoted that level of killing that we're hearing about?
I think that on the part of the Iranian government, they see these protests as an existential threat. And not only that, you have what is really problematic are these bellicose statements that you have American and Israeli officials making about being on the ground, about having a hand in this. Because what actually happened, and this gets lost in a lot of the coverage, is that in the first couple days of this protest, you had Iran's president, Pezeshkian, come out and say, people have a right to protest. Our economy is very bad and all of this. And then you saw a major escalation and that sort of language change the moment that you saw American and Israeli officials saying, we're on the ground, we have a hand in this, we're helping people. Because what ended up happening was that Iran's Chief Justice, Gholam Hossein Ejei, came out and said, unlike last protests, there will be no clemency for these protesters because, and this is a direct quote, there is no ambiguity because the Americans and the Israelis have said they have a hand in this. So really, this is a form of sabotage on the part of the Americans and the Israelis. They are not helping protesters, they are hurting them.
Indeed. You mentioned Pezeshkian, and you also said there was, that it's a misnomer to say Mossadegh was elected. Right. However, was Pezeshkian elected, or is that also a misnomer, given that he's relatively new? He was elected. Right.
Iran has elections. They have a huge participation. Between 70 and 80% of people vote. Now, before the election before Pezeshkian, you had a much lower number of people come out. This was when Raisi was elected as president. But a huge number of people voted for Pezeshkian, again, because they wanted to see change. Pezeshkian is not a cleric, and he had said that he is going to change things. Now, I'm sure you remember that there was an uprising also in 2022 with the Mahsa Amini. This is the young woman who was killed by the morality police when she was in custody. And women during that time were able to really make a social change based on the imposition of the veil. It was very rare these days to see women veiling themselves in Iran. There were a lot of women going around unveiled, and that's because they fought against that. And the government realized that they can't really coerce this anymore. So things were slowly changing in that realm. And that was because of the pressure that the women and the people of Iran put on their government. But again, as I said, those changes, it seems, weren't fast enough for outside forces.
Another thing you said, which I must go back to, is, you used the word sabotage. Others have said, is America using Iranian bodies to fight a war with the government of Iran? And I don't want to call them a regime unless you choose to, because some also argue that what we see in America currently could be called a regime. So I'm not going to use the Western favored word or language or description. But yeah, when you talk of that sabotage, do you agree with those who say, look, President Trump, America, Israel, indeed, Netanyahu are using Iranian bodies as bullets, if you like, to fight, weaponizing them, to fight their war against the government of Iran?
It's very hard to tell. I mean, I think what people need to keep top of mind about these protests regardless of these bellicose statements that are being made, is that the people in Iran want change. They don't like the economic instability that they live with, and they also don't like the fact that they are ruled by a bunch of unelected clerics. Now, I said that people in Iran vote, they have a president, but they really have an impotent parliament in Iran. You see, the problem is that Iran has this weird system where it has a republic, but then it also has this Islamic element of unelected clerics that really have the final say on what the laws of the country are. So you have this supreme leader who nobody elects. He's appointed by this 12-member body of clerics, and he runs everything. He runs the radio and television, the state media. He is the commander-in-chief of 3 separate armies, particularly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, which is meant to protect the revolution at all costs, even if that means gunning down their own citizens. And then you also have the added problem of people in the United States and Israel who continue to tell Iranians, go out into the streets, help is on its way. Well, guess what? Help isn't on its way. Where is that help? And how many people are they willing to sacrifice? How many people have to be sacrificed in order for outside forces to want to do away with this regime? That is not to say that Iranians don't want some reprieve, but what we're seeing right now is a horrible mix of Iranians being used as political pawns. That is not to say Iranians don't have agency. They know exactly what they want, but we cannot deny these outside forces.
Indeed. We saw a counter-protest. I remember, I think I saw an interview, perhaps yesterday, I can't remember, with Professor Mirandi, who said, I think it was on Channel 4, where he said 3 million, counter-protests that were protesting in favor of the government, and the new system. Or is it,
it's not a matter of trust. Those people were out in the streets. We saw them. We know that. The Iranian government is very good at bringing out its base when it needs to. The other thing I want to point out is Iran is a country of 90 million people.
Exactly.
Okay? So even if there was a research study done by a research group called Gammon, and they polled Iranians. Right now, the government in Iran has about 20 to 25% of the people's support.
Okay.
20% of 90 million people is still 18 million people.
Yes.
Okay. So when you see these people out on the streets, yes, they support the Iranian government. We can't deny that. Okay. What's important to point out, though, is there's a huge demographic divide here, a huge generational divide. Most of the people that you see out in the streets that come out to support the Islamic Republic, the Iranian government, are much older, much older. They're in their 60s, they're in their 50s. And a lot of them are clerics. A lot of them are government workers. Don't forget that 60% of the population in Iran gets its paycheck from the government. You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. However, when you look at the protesters, they are much younger, much younger. They're in their 20s, in their 30s. Many of them are teenagers, and they really, no longer is this the Iran of the 1980s. There's the internet. The young people see what is happening in the world, and they want to be a part of the international community. When you talk to these young people, they just say, I want to be able to go out with my friends. I want to be able to have a drink in a bar. I want to go to a club. I want to do these things. These are things that young people all over the world want to do and get to do. They want to do that, right? They want to be able to have classes in university that aren't gender segregated, for instance.
Yeah.
It's really that it's really that basic, and people like to make it really complex, but it's really that. And this generational divide is something that people don't focus on enough also. But we can't deny that the Iranian government has supporters. Of course it has supporters, millions of supporters.
Indeed. And it's interesting that you mentioned the generational divide. It's not just in Iran, it's what we've seen all over the world. Indeed, we have the same going on in Nigeria. You have
that's interesting. Do you? Yeah.
Well, you have a new generation that want to do things differently, and they do not want to be ruled by their grandfathers, or in some cases, some see them as their great-grandfathers, right? Like, what have I got in common with him? When am I going to have somebody that I can relate to, in the language that will get where I'm coming from? So, Iranian young people are no different to my child, who is a Nigerian Brit, or any other Nigerian child, or even a child in the UK. Young people want a change. And indeed, it's about who's going to give them that change. We have it going on in Uganda right now with the election that's happening in Uganda. You say there's something, when I was doing my homework about you, something you wrote that always gets to me. When people talk about themselves in the first person when it comes to their childhood, you say, I'm a child of the revolution. It's a very emotive statement. And I think it's a statement that connects especially with those of us from the global south, because we know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to be exiled from your land, a land that you yearn for, that you love, but that you're looking at from afar, and you're seeing what's going on, and you're doing your bit that you can, and you become the spokesperson for that. Tell us about that, because around that time when you said you left, there was also the hostage issue with and that was by young people
really
as well.
Is that today is the anniversary. Today is the actual anniversary of when my parents got the call from the Canadian Embassy to come and get their visas to come over to Canada. It happened on the exact day that the Shah of Iran in 1979 left the country. I was only 4 when we came to Canada, but I have been back to Iran. I had gone back in 1999, and there is this yearning for something that you feel that you were robbed of, and right now, what's interesting also is that there are 8 million Iranians outside of Iran. That's the population of Germany. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot.
And so you also have, in all of this, you also have a diaspora who is desperate to get back. So there's all this diaspora politics involved also, which I'm sure you know very well
Absolutely.
about. And we see it with the Cubans who also had a revolution. We see it with Venezuelans. The diaspora is in many ways, a very traumatized people. Many of us, are out of touch with what is actually happening on the ground every day, what it actually feels like to be living there, and there are some of us who are willing to sacrifice people there just so that we could go back or do whatever. I'm not one of them. I don't speak on behalf of 90 million Iranians in Iran. I provide my analysis as best as I can because I do keep in touch with what's going on as best as I can. However, it is up to the people of Iran, the people who live there, the people who are dying there, to decide what happens to them and their country. Not the United States, not Israel, and not anyone else.
Here's the other thing. We forget, or no, not we, I must point the finger where it belongs. Western narrative forgets and deliberately misses out sanctions. The fact that Iran has had sanctions since the 70s, and indeed, no country, not even the United States, could survive, could continue to grow under such sanctions for near on 50 years. They don't talk about that. Help us unpack that, please, and the impact of those sanctions.
I have to be honest with you. Up to about a decade ago, I was very pro-sanction too, because I believed in this illusion of targeted sanctions, But the leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, isn't coming to Canada and the U.S. to buy real estate or, these fallacies that we have that we're hurting the top echelon. We're not hurting them. We're hurting the people. And I firmly believe this, that if sanctions had been lifted on Iran many, many years ago, this government may have already been toppled. What sanctions have done is create an underground black market economy that Iran's government wholly controls, particularly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They're not just an army. They run development sites. They are in the sugar game. They are in the petrochemicals. They run Iran's financial sector. You can't be an independent business person without doing business with the IRGC. So what are sanctions really doing? They are allowing people like Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, who is a billionaire, by the way. His Swiss banks are packed with money, and they allow a country to be closed off from the international community. They allow further encroaching. It doesn't help the people. We saw that in Iraq. You know, Iraq from the 1990s on was under sanctions. Who did that help? The people? No. And then we saw the Americans come in, and we saw what they did to Iraq. We saw what they did to Libya. We saw what they did to other countries, Afghanistan. These are all Iran's neighbors. And what? Iranians are under this illusion that somehow the U.S. is coming to save them? The U.S. doesn't care about Iranian lives. It cares about our oil. It wants our oil, just as it wants Venezuela's oil. And people need to wake up to that. You know, it's very dangerous what is happening right now in Iran, because they want to be able to take over our resources. Iran is a very resource-rich country. Copper, uranium, so much resources there. And they want to be able to extract it and take it. And how nice for them to be able to say, we liberated you, now give us your oil.
Indeed. But there's the other thing. You mentioned about the diaspora. 8 million diasporan Iranians seem, you know, like, I mean, this, like I said, again, Iranian diaspora. Who's split? Are they split down the middle?
Yes.
You know, some are for, some, the same with Venezuelans. But here's what I want to ask you. What one can identify in Venezuela is that often the Afro-Venezuelans, who are more in the lower economic rung, tend to support the Venezuelan government, the socialism, whereas the more affluent, the elite Venezuelans, who are the ones that are able to travel out, live in Miami, go in and out, perhaps even do business with Western organizations, they're the ones that are anti, the socialist government. Is it the same? Is it similar in Iran? And with the diaspora as well, yeah.
It's hard to say, because inside Iran, you are seeing a wide demographic of people come out, particularly in the border provinces, who are really neglected by the Iranian government. The schools are minimal. They get very attention to resources is not paid at all, and so they are not. They are not the elite. What you see in Iran, the people rising up are not the affluent. It's actually the opposite. It's actually the people who are the lower population, the lower classes, the working class.
The grassroots, yeah.
Yes, the grassroots people are the ones that are rising up. In Iran, teachers won't be paid for months. The petrochemical workers won't be paid for months. And these are the people that you're really seeing rising up. And then at the same time, this government, because of mismanagement, corruption, and sanctions, we don't have a middle class anymore. It's been crippled, totally crippled. So you have this sort of 3 to 5% up top that in the Persian language they call aghazadeh. These are the children of the clerics. These are the children of the technocrats that run the government. They are extremely wealthy. You will see them riding around Tehran in Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Porsches. They have the latest everything. They live in massive villas. These are the people that aren't out protesting. So it's actually
the other way around, which is very interesting.
Yes.
Let's talk about the religious angle of Iran.
Yes.
You have the Ayatollah, who is the supreme leader, and then you have the president, Pezeshkian.
Yes.
You have a Shia country, right? And then
majority Shia, yes.
Yes, and then that's the thing. This is where I was going. And then you have the majority Sunni on the other side. How does that impact? How does that play on what's going on in Iran right now, especially the politics of it all?
That's a great question. I want to start by just giving you a bit of a historical background. So Iran, even before this revolution in 1979, was a Shia country. Even under the Shah of Iran, it's mandated in our constitution from 1906 that the leader of the country has to be Shia. And, it doesn't matter if it was the king or whatever. The king has to be Shia, and that's the way it was. Now, in Iran, there's also a huge population of Armenian Christians that number between 300 to 500,000. We also have the largest Jewish population outside of Israel in the Middle East. Now, that number has dwindled since the revolution, but right now there's about between 12 to 15,000 Jewish Iranians inside the country. And then, as you said, we have a Sunni minority, but the majority are Shia. And so what has actually happened, which is very interesting, is that there is a major churning away of religion by people in Iran. Iran is probably one of the most secular countries, minded people inside the Middle East. You see, what makes Iran very different from other countries in the Middle East is that it is actually a totalitarian theocracy. It is actually ruled by clerics. No other country is ruled by clerics. It's kind of like, imagine if Italy was ruled by the Vatican, right? That's what is taking place in Iran. And so it's really complicated, right? Because you have all of these minority groups, which, we have ethnic minorities. We also have all these religious minorities. And you have what is essentially an ethno-state, right? Iran is ruling based on Shiaism. Its laws are based on Shia's Sharia law. And so that's really the problem, because let's say you're a Christian woman in Iran, an Armenian Christian woman. Even if you're not Muslim, you have to wear the veil, right? Even if you're not Muslim, you have to be fasting during Ramadan. So it's not that, people are allowed to sort of live out their
religious culture or customer. Yeah.
Yes, they have to still abide by these. Not to say they're not free to practice their religion. They totally are. Jewish people go to synagogue. They celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Iran has some of the oldest synagogues in the world. In our country, we also have some of the oldest churches, hundreds and hundreds of years old, in the country, and they're preserved. And in Iran's parliament, every religious minority has a representative. So Armenians have a representative in the parliament. Zoroastrians, which is Iran's sort of indigenous religion, they have a representative. Jewish people have a representative. So they all are represented in Iran's parliament. So you have this weird mosaic, right? Very multicultural. But then at the same time, there are people who want to use and divide and create discord among these various groups to really separate Iran. That is one of the worries right now, is that if this government disintegrates, that you will have all of these provinces that want to break off, very much in the same way that we saw with Soviet Union, right? The Soviet Union collapsed, and then you had 16 separate countries all of a sudden. And don't forget that the oil-rich South, Khuzestan, is one of the places that many people would like to see break off. from Iran.
It's so fascinating, so interesting. I could keep you here for 3 hours, but they're going to start calling it. Honestly, it's so fascinating because there's so much people do not know about Iran. And indeed, it's one of the countries that I desperately pray I get to see before the lights go out. I really must go there. But here's the thing. Talk to us about... let me come back before I go to my next question on what you said about the parliament and how every group is represented. That speaks to an interesting form of liberalism, doesn't it?
Yes, that's the problem. You see, if you actually read Iran's constitution right now, you will see articles like Article 17, 18, 19, where it says no person should be subjected to torture.
Interesting.
These are in Iran's constitution. No person should be arbitrarily arrested. All of these are in the constitution, but the government doesn't even follow its own constitution. That's the problem, you see, and it's this fight constantly between the Republican side of the Islamic Republic and the Islamic element that are constantly crashing against one another. And the biggest victims of that are the Iranian people themselves.
Indeed. So, opposition parties, given that everybody's got representation, are there opposition parties? Which brings me to Reza Pahlavi. He's American. The Americans seem to like him. He seems to be positioning him, well, he is positioning himself as, a future president leader. Are there opposition parties in Iran? And how popular or unpopular is Reza Pahlavi?
It's difficult to have really a real opposition in Iran. Iran is really this sort of, we've seen this for years, this fight between the reformists, what are called the reformists, and the more conservative camps. The more conservative camp says we need to stay with what, the ideals of the revolution, right? And the reformers say, no, we need some change, in the country. Things can't go on like this. But right now, reform in the minds of Iranians is dead because they tried to change things through the ballot box. That didn't work out, right? We had these elections in 2009 where we saw Ahmadinejad come to power. And effectively, we know that he didn't win. We know that the reformist camp are the ones who won in 2009, but he still was brought to power. Now, one thing I should really point out that I had forgotten to was that in Iran, they don't just allow anyone to run for president. They vet who can and cannot run. So Iran has never really had free and fair elections in the way that, we do, let's say, in Canada, where I am, for instance. Everyone is vetted. Now, outside of the country, you have these opposition groups who are jockeying for leadership, right? So you have the Mujahideen Khalq, which is the MEK, which, people like Pompeo and Rudy Giuliani get paid thousands of dollars to go and speak at their conference every year. And then you have the son of the former Shah of Iran, who's lived in Maryland all of his life, coming out and saying, I want to be the transitional leader. This government is dying in Iran, and the people have been calling for me to be their transitional leader. Now, we have seen, particularly during this round of protests, protesters inside the country calling for the return of the Shah's son to come and act as a transitional leader. And what he says is to initiate a referendum in the country so that people in Iran can finally decide what sort of system of governance they want. And this is something that the Iranian government, if it wasn't afraid, really should initiate themselves. If you say that the people overwhelmingly support you, what are you afraid of? Initiate a referendum like you did in 1979 and have a referendum. Let the people decide what sort of government they want to have, what sort of system of governance. If they weren't afraid, they would do this. But they are very hesitant because they know that the majority of Iranians do not support this system of governance. It's just a fact.
Beyond the protests, beyond the foreign interference, I think when one looks at the Gen Z and the power they behold, especially when they do eventually realize their power, because it's all over the place when they organize it together, is it safe to say that the current Ayatollah may possibly be the last Ayatollah?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. This is a, I read a very great piece by a gentleman named Karim Sajjadpour. He is a professor and also an analyst, and he called this a government a zombie government, almost like The Walking Dead. Khamenei right now is 86 years old. Some of the clerics that I was telling you, this unelected body of clerics, the median age among those men is 90. Some of them are 92 years old, 92, 87, 86, 83. They're out of touch. They are completely out of touch with the younger generation that are the majority in Iran. The majority of Iran's population right now is under the age of 40. They had no hand at all in bringing this system of governance to fruition. And they want nothing to do with it.
Indeed. Like I said, I want to keep you here for hours because this is such an interesting conversation. The lines are going. Right, I'm coming to your questions. Just make it question 30 seconds because I haven't even finished my own questions. Samira, you will learn. The listeners, they feel they're my co-host and they like to take over. Honestly, get ready.
Yes, no, I know. The Iranians do the same thing.
Excellent. Hello. Okay. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Sister.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is the merchant man.
Okay.
Good evening to your guests.
Quick question only.
Yeah, my question is, in the face of serious crackdown on the protesters, that eventually some of them were captured and were sentenced to be executed. And Trump was telling them that they should hold on to the protest, that help was coming. Then that delayed the execution. My question now is, as most of the protesters who were caught were eventually
have they been executed or not?
Executed immediately.
Okay.
And it has slowed down the intervention expected from America.
Okay.
Now, what is the fate of these people? In as much as Trump has not hastened his intervention that he promised them, which was like tricking them.
Okay, I got you, Merchant Man. I got the question. We don't have time. Right, that question is, remember there was supposed to be some executions and Donald Trump says it's been stopped because of his threats. Let me answer more and then I'll come to you. Hello.
Good evening, Sisiogi.
Question, go ahead, Emmanuel. 30 seconds, question only. Yes.
Do the Iranians see religion, especially the Abrahamic religion, as a burden?
Okay.
So because
good question. No. They
are Persians.
Yeah, they're Persians. Yes.
An Islamic country.
Yes, thank you.
This is happening in Nigeria.
Thank you. No. It's okay, Emmanuel. We don't have the time. Thank you. That's a great question from Emmanuel. Is the Abrahamic religion a burden to Iranians? Hold on to that, Samira. The lines are going. Hello.
Hello, is it okay? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Godman here.
Godman, go ahead.
All right, so I want to ask, if the government was not corrupt and the government was not taking care of the Iranians, the populace, do you think, do you think they'll be crying out for Americans or the outside body outside of Iran to come for help?
Okay.
To help them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, so we have three very strong questions there. We've only got like 10 minutes left. I know it goes so fast, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer all these three. Especially that Abrahamic question. It's so important.
What was the question?
Do Iranians find the Abrahamic religion a burden? Because Persians are not supposed to be a Muslim country.
I mean, Iran has had Islam as its sort of official religion for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But the problem is, this is the first time that you are mixing, as I said, religion and state. So Iranians are living under religious laws. We didn't have that before 1979. The laws were not governed by religion. So when you melt state and religion together, then yes, it becomes a burden.
Okay. The first question, I think, was what's the status of those who were said to have been executed? Has them been in a state of execution, or is Trump just using it as a way to cover his back?
I think in many ways Donald Trump is using this also as a way of patting himself on the back. He loves to be a hero. We all know that. He claims that 800 executions were halted because of his intervention. And, you know, Iran, I'm sure, sees what Donald Trump did in Venezuela. Iranian leadership is rightly afraid. I don't know how much of that is true about how many executions were halted, but we do know that thousands of people were already killed. So we have to really wait and see what happens in the next 48 hours in particular, because there has been talk of these fighter jets moving from the U.S. over into the Middle East right now. So we really don't know what will happen in the next 48 hours. But we do know for now that there haven't been any executions related to this round of protests. But as I said, thousands have already...
So there hasn't been?
There have not been any executions
related to these current rounds of protests since 28th of December.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So what is then this thing about that we're hearing? I mean, in fact, I'm reading it on a group now. Somebody wrote Iran initially was close to 500 murdered. Then it's moved to 5,000. Now it's 12,000. Gruesome. Is that fake news? Propaganda?
So this number of 12,000 that keeps getting bantied around, there is no hard evidence for that. Now, there is an internet-wide blackout. Remember this. We haven't had any ability to understand what has been happening in Iran. For 8 days, there has been a nationwide internet blackout. Iranians are not able to get information out. What we have seen are all of these people in morgues, in body bags. We know that thousands have been killed. Most of the Iranian NGOs, human rights organizations, and other human rights organizations are putting the number between 2,000 to 3,000 killed. But again, we don't know the real number because we have been under a nationwide internet blackout for 8 days.
Okay. Another question, and I can read it here, but I think they kind of wrote in short form, which is, you know, does the world have a right, or at least the Western world, because I don't think Africa is, have a right to be afraid of Iran's nuclear development program? No. Right. Okay.
No,
excellent.
Not at all. The only threat Iran has posed the most is to its own people. Iran has every right to have nuclear energy. In fact, Iran, even before in the 70s, was when they initiated to have nuclear energy. All of Iran's neighbors, Pakistan, India, let's not forget Israel, they are all armed to the teeth with nuclear warheads.
Exactly. Which brings me on to the subject of Israel, because we didn't get a chance to explore that as much as, you know, I really wanted to spend like a good 10-15 minutes talking about Israel, Gaza and Palestine, which is also something that I know you're extremely passionate about. But indeed, this narrative of, you know, why are you not standing up for the people in Iran? You know, you were all standing up for Gaza. Is it because it's Israel? It's interesting. I saw...
What a wonderful distraction.
Yes.
What a wonderful manufactured, Israeli manufactured distraction. This is how Israel is laundering its genocide. This is how Israel wants to talk about the fact that no one really cares about human rights. This was all, you know, because they hate Israel. This is all bullshit. Excuse my French.
Go ahead. French away.
This is exactly what Israel wants to paint.
Mm.
And you see a lot of these Israeli influencers doing the same thing, saying, where are all the pro-Palestinian people? Don't you care about the Iranians? These are classic colonial, neo-imperial speaking marking points used to divide people and to get people off track of what is actually happening.
And
Israel is still conducting a genocide in Gaza. Don't forget that.
Absolutely, we mustn't. Indeed, I saw a clip. Oh, I can't remember when. Maybe Instagram, where there was a woman who's a feminist, and she said, "I have a message for you, feminist. I want you to STFU because you did not speak up when the genocide was going on in Gaza. You didn't speak up for the women on Gaza. Now you want to condemn Iran for its policy on freedom of women. STFU. You know what STFU mean? I'm not allowed to say it. Right, I'm going to make your question short, very short. Hello.
Yeah, time is gone. Just for 30 seconds. Number one, I appreciate that again. Balanced, objective, and
speak up. Mm-hmm.
Yes, very, very balanced analysis.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
I want to ask you, does she think that the crown prince or the former Shah, now in America, parading himself as the opposition leader, is not living in illusion, just like Carino Machado of Venezuela, whom Trump has just told now she's not popular in case of any regime change. That is one. Then
you said,
do you think there has been an implosion from within the spiritual leadership of the Iranian government?
Okay, thank you.
No,
right,
that's a great
okay.
question.
Yeah,
That's
hold
a
on
great
to
question
that.
about
Let
the
me just,
implosion,
the implosion, yes. I was just about to pick up another call, so you could do both of them together, but it's cut off. Go ahead. Okay, it's come back. Hold on. Hello. Quickly, please.
Hello?
Yes, turn off your radio. Ouch.
Hello?
Yes,
Good
quickly.
evening.
30 seconds. Yes.
I want to ask your guest there. Is it possible Iran end up like Iraq?
Okay.
What
Thank
American
you.
is going to do to what
Thank
America
you.
did to Iraq?
Thank you.
Iran going to end up like that?
Thank you. Right, there you go. I'm going to give you what they're trying to chase me off air now. A minute to answer those 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to Iraq is there's a great possibility that could happen to Iran. Iraq is only 1/4 the size of Iran. I think the Americans aren't that stupid. There is no way that they can have boots on the ground and occupy Iran. That just cannot happen with a population of 90 million unless they want to put more than 100,000 troops there. It will be the graveyard, that is for sure. But they could easily dissect or take apart, sow division within Iran's multi-ethnic, multilingual country, try and take certain regions for themselves. That is a possibility, of course. And to come back to the implosion, we're just not seeing it. We're not seeing the kind of defections from the government that would enable for the government to implode from within. That hasn't happened at this point, and you need that to happen in order to have a true revolution happen in the country.
Okay, I have 2 questions here on WhatsApp. One is, good evening. Is your guest suggesting that the USA and Israel should stay clear, even when there are human rights violations by the government of Iran? That's from Pascal in Satellite Town. The second question is, we need more time. What are protesters doing with guns and grenades? These are not protesters. Some are Mossad-sponsored terrorists. How did peaceful protest result in the death of hundreds of security officers, burning of mosques and other places? Trump is indeed a gambler. I don't know what that means, but there you go.
Gambler. So what was the first question? It was about...
Yeah, it was about, are you suggesting that Israel and USA should stay clear, even though should stay clear of Iran's problems, even though there is clear, what did this person put it? Human rights violations.
I don't think Israel, after the genocide it's conducted in Gaza, has any leg to stand on when it comes to human rights. It should pay attention to its own country. Hundreds of thousands of people have been demonstrating in Tel Aviv against Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel has no business talking about Iran, period. As far as the United States goes, military intervention never helps. It's never helped. If we want to care about history or listen to history, that has never, ever helped, and neither have the sanctions. We know that. The only people that have been hurt by these American sanctions are the people of Iran themselves. And if you want to care about the people of Iran, lift the sanctions. Let them be the ones to bring this government down. Let them join the international market. Let them join the international community. The only thing that these sanctions have done is put a cloud over people and reduce their ability to mobilize, reduce their ability to go places in the world, reduce the power that they have in their pockets. So if you really care, get rid of the sanctions. There was the second question about, protesters.
Yeah.
How can you have
they
so
have
many
guns.
killed?
Why have they got guns and grenades?
Look, the border provinces, particularly in Iran, the border towns, those people have always had guns because they hunt. They are a hunting people. Now, there is no doubt, and as we said, you mentioned this off the top of your show, that you have American and Israeli officials saying, we are helping. There was, just before we get, I'm not sure how much time there
We don't. I need you to close. They're screaming at me.
Is Channel 14, this is Israel's Channel 14, their diplomatic correspondent, his name is Tamir Morag. He tweeted yesterday on X that Israel is directly arming protesters. Why would he do that?
Indeed. Great question. Samira Moyedin, will you join us again? We need you back. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to join you. I love hearing from people in Nigeria. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Nigeria Info Studios, 267A at Timian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. Audition begin 10 a.m. prompt on Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Don't miss this opportunity to let your student voices be heard. Register now at nigeriainfo.fm. For sponsorship inquiries, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I beg to differ. The Tournament of Champions.
There's so much more to enjoy when you fly in Emirates Economy. More legroom, delicious regionally inspired meals, complimentary free-flowing drinks, and the latest movies, TV shows, music, and live sport. Some of the best entertainment in the skies. And our family services make your journey simple and fun. Plan your next trip and start the holiday early in Emirates Economy. Fly Emirates, fly better.
For your skin, who makes you shine, who makes you win,
Get ready, Nigeria! Win your share of 3 billion naira in the Nivea Double the Care, Double the Shine promo. Buy a Nivea promo bottle today. Scratch the card on the bottle and dial *7022* your unique code #. Follow the prompt to win 1,000 naira instant airtime and an all-expense paid trip to watch Real Madrid in Spain for 10 lucky winners. This offer is valid while stock lasts. Terms and conditions apply. Start scratching. Start winning. Start shining. Nivea is for skin.
No matter where you are, city or out of town, you deserve a great, reliable connection. The Airtel 5G Smart Connect not only delivers that, but also gives you unlimited data to stream, download, and browse in your home or office. It also comes with wider coverage and super fast speed, all for just 25,000 naira. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to start enjoying unlimited data now. Airtel.
Compliments of the season.
Come and buy your Christmas chicken here.
People.
Plenty Christmas chicken.
Everything
Right
day.
one.
Basmati, Ofada rice, Jasmine, I get her.
The holiday season is here again. The streets are packed. Shopping today, village tomorrow, party next tomorrow. Everybody's outside.
This season, movement not the finish you.
And with all the movement, your car deserves full protection because one small scratch, one unexpected bump, or one mishap can scatter your plans and your budget. So this season, give yourself peace of mind with Rex Insurance as your cover. From third-party protection to full coverage options, Rex has the right motor insurance to keep you safe and worry-free, no matter where the road takes you. Call 0708 0606 100 or visit www.rexinsure.com to choose the perfect plan for your vehicle. Rex Insurance. You're not alone.
Hey there, mums and dads. Did you know that some children are picky eaters and also do not get enough fruits and vegetables from their diet? Well Kid Baby and Infant Syrup is a food supplement from Vitabiotics that contains 14 vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C and zinc, as well as flaxseed oil, which supports brain development and all-round health. Well Kid Baby and Infant Tasty Syrup is for children 3 months to 5 years of age. Give your young ones a good start with Well Kid Baby and Infant from Vitabiotics UK. Available in pharmacies near you.